Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Prod.cast. We're doing a Prod.cast bite today. My name is Basil.
I'm Andric.
And I'm SK.
And today we are talking about the newest extension to the COVID-19 restrictions that just came into place today. We have here with us Jerry. Say hi.
Hi guys.
who's joining us for this little quick session about how we feel about the latest update. Since we're all conveniently here together somehow.
Yeah.
Well, so the latest news is that Singapore, our country, is going to extend our current COVID-19 restrictions until the 21st of November because the healthcare system is at risk of being overwhelmed. So the measures that are already in place right now are capping of group sizes for social gatherings and dining in at 2. And also they have already begun stopping unvaccinated people from entering malls and even hawker centers, right?
Yeah.
They're not even allowed to enter hawker centers now, which previously they were able to. Apparently, the multi-ministry task force claims that the restrictions will be reviewed at the 2-week mark and adjusted based on the situation then. So what they're saying now is that there are actually 90% of our isolation beds for COVID-19 patients filled up, while 2/3 of the ICU beds are being occupied by both COVID-19 and non-COVID patients. So to start off, how are you guys doing?
Well, the news obviously dropped like an hour and a half ago, and 50% of my shoots next week have been postponed or shifted away. So good and not good, I guess. I mean, good thing is it doesn't affect me financially because before I even do bookings for my jobs, I make sure I get full payment first. So it's just pushing to a later date. But of course, that restricts me from receiving new jobs on that said later date lah. I guess that's a slightly bad thing. But the good thing is I have time to rest lor. I've always seen the restrictions in a more positive light because I get I have a government appointed reason to rest. Yeah, so I guess it's fine for me, but obviously it's not good news for my clients because most of my clients are in the property industry and they are required to move around to conduct their business. I mean, technically for me, yes, but I see it differently lah. But for them, I guess not so good.
How about you, SK?
For me right now, I think everything seems to move back to normal. I have one particular tuition center which I am conducting physically, but the good news is, or the bad news is, depending on who sees it, my last lesson will be on Saturday. I have another lesson which is currently, I'm actually stationed there in the center itself, but I'm actually doing online teaching for the rest of them. So I would say that I'm not too sure how this restriction is going to affect me per se, but I'm so used to going in and out of, whether it's a physical class or online, to the point that I'm numb about this kind of restriction already.
Yeah, you used to be the guy that would rage about it.
Yeah.
And by used to, I mean like a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Basically, what happened was, because what happened was I happened to had my QO few weeks ago, and one of the reasons was because one of my family member who happened to be immune compromised she had gotten COVID, and one of the reasons why I was so fuming about it was because one of the reasons why I was so angry was really because during that time they talked about home recovery, and I wasn't angry about myself, but I was angry more towards the fact that a positive COVID patient is in my house and she's immune compromised, and we were so concerned at the point of time. I was so worried about her, and yet whenever we try to call MOH, the closest we can get were the customer service officers, and then the next thing is they just say, it's going to be in No, it's like, we'll be putting this as an urgent case whatsoever, yada yada yada. Then after that, nobody follow up or anything, nothing. So we were pretty much for that whole entire 1 week or close to 2 weeks, we were pretty much just isolated. No one responded to us. The only time legitimately someone showed up was on the 8th or the 7th day, when someone actually showed up for PCR, and the poor fella apparently has gotten half the household he has visited that had lashed out on him, because we aren't the only one. That when I show up with when I just step out and just talk to him, he just gave a very quick no. You know, I get where you're angry. Yeah, no. I'm just somebody who just coming here to work. I'm not in charge of anything. No one actually responded. And then few days later, apparently after my QO ended, few days later, another group of people whom I know had gotten QO. They had probably from RC or from the MPs. They have vegetables. They have a lot of things that were given to them, like resources. Everything was given to them. While us, we pretty much was stuck with no food, no anything, and I need to get my bosses to order some food for me, or to order some vegetables for me, just to survive, just to keep ourselves pass through that quarantine order. And my ART test kit, which I demanded for almost like since the beginning of the whole QO, only showed up I think few days after my QO ended. Yeah, so I got to the point that, you know what, I don't feel like getting angry anymore, especially, you know, my family member had recovered from COVID since, so nothing to complain about anymore. Yeah.
I see. Then what about you, Jerry?
Yeah, how about you?
How have things been for you?
Personally, I work at a COVID care facility, so a CCF site. So we house foreign workers that are COVID positive but shows no like symptoms, like
So
asymptomatic.
asymptomatic.
Yeah. And so on my side, nothing much. Every day, just more and more guys coming in. But I want to highlight on there's a point that you brought out is like the ambulance and the ICUs are quite fully capped.
Yeah.
Because I got a couple of friends that are doing ambulance service, and they were sharing with me that more than half of the calls that they receive are actually non-emergency cases, which the patient just blew it up. For example, I fell on a drain and my toes are bleeding. I need an ambulance right now. This kind of thing.
Like, it's
And
not
they-
even COVID related.
yeah, they demanded for an emergency ambulance service, which
No, but that's quite normal, right? As in a
Normal.
lot of
It's a
cases like
Singaporean
that
thing.
happen.
yeah, but considering that now it's in the COVID, like now COVID is such a big issue, these people could like end up stopping an actual patient that is COVID positive, or even someone that is having an emergency, for example, a heart attack.
Of course.
Yeah.
For being treated because the ambulance is being used up for this minor situation.
Of course.
Yeah, this is something I want to bring
Of
up.
course. Well, my brother drives an ambulance, so he's
feels
been
the pain
sharing
too,
with me like how people are just
Misuse.
Yeah, well, it's normal to have a crank case like that, but there are also people who have COVID-19 but who test positive on the ART, but they are calling 995 to tell them that you need to send me to a hospital, and of course they can't turn them away, right?
If I'm not wrong,
Yeah.
Grab does provide like specialized transport vehicles for people that are contracted.
Yeah, but they
COVID.
don't. But a lot of people don't know they actually have to pay for 995 services.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they think it's free.
yeah,
That's why they don't want to do Grab. But yeah, the ambulances are being overwhelmed lah. Yeah,
I look at
like,
their Instagram stories.
I
and
really hardly
see.
see my brother nowadays.
Yeah, it's very heartbreaking to see that our healthcare workers are being like drained so badly, and still hearing cases that people are pushing away healthcare workers because like they work with COVID.
Yeah, I was about to
patients.
say that. Like, not only are they drained, they are still being underappreciated.
Ostracized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ostracized even, right? That's a much better word to use.
Yeah. But do you guys think that the government could have done better in managing the fear of COVID?
I guess the easy answer would be yes, but I don't have a solution to how they can do it. So I feel that it's unfair for me to like just very strongly say yes, of course they can, because I don't have a solution for it. Yeah, but I guess the easy answer is yes. So I might not be able to contribute much to this question, but what about SK and Jerry? I think especially Jerry, since I mean prior to coming to this, we didn't know that you're working there.
Yeah,
So
we
it's
didn't
know.
know. Yeah.
it's a nice coincidence that you're part of this one now,
Yeah,
since
yeah.
you are like also constantly here. So what do you think?
Okay, in terms of the COVID side wise, from what I'm hearing, I don't know if I can share this or not. So, certain sites, although they are asymptomatic, but they are still COVID positive. So they are bunked in their housing area. They are like grouped in like 8 to 10 people, or sometimes even more due to we are being overwhelmed lah. So and we don't really have a lot of place to put them in. So there are cases where a certain group of people chose not to wear masks, even though there is required of them to, and the site managers don't really enforce all these kind of measures, which can cause discomfort to those that are actually COVID aware. If you've seen a recent post by a foreign worker yesterday on Facebook, like he did mention to the government that stop calling us brothers when you're treating us like this. Like even in their dormitories, that COVID positive cases are being housed with non-COVID positive dormitory workers.
The one that's been
and
used
some of them
for a while already.
Yeah, some of them have to like resort to sleep on the floors or downstairs to keep themselves safe from this. So it's something for the government to actually work on, I guess. It's a
blind spot.
Yeah, it's a blind spot. It's a very pressing issue also, because we have so many like dormitory workers in Singapore here, and like you see, we have seen how it blew up last year and this year. Just take one.
I have a question, but I don't know if you can answer it, or if you're legally not allowed to answer, but I'll ask it anyway. If not, then we'll just cut this part out.
Yeah.
Okay. You know how almost every day we have the numbers updated to us, right? Is it underreported?
From what I know, hearing from the ambulance crew and from my side, I feel that it is. Because from what I know, ART positive cases, those self-test kits positive cases, aren't being updated. They only update the ones that are government PCR tested. So this begs the question, so why am I doing ART when if I'm positive, I'm not being like recognized, like ART positive, I'm not being recognized.
I see.
My sis had to do 3 ART tests in order to double confirm that, and then she went to the A&E to do a proper PCR test.
I've always felt that ART is like a gateway thing that the government introduced to us before going on to use government actual resources like PCR. So it's like just to hold us at bay for a little while longer.
No, it's kind of counterproductive,
like that,
right? Because the ART test kits are so expensive anyway, and if you mandate it for people to start doing it, then they're going to have to cover the cost of it.
How much is it? I actually have no idea.
I saw an ad that came to me in my mailing list, right? That you can buy, I think, 200 kits for like $9, but that's from the wholesaler.
$9.
No, that one is
$9 per piece.
Is it the ST or
the per piece?
Yeah, but that's from the wholesaler. But then if you buy piece by piece, it's about $30. 20, $30.
Wow, what the heck?
I bought 8 during the time, and I spent $80 including delivery, just for 8 self-test kit.
Yeah, just search on Shopee, right? One ART kit costs $10.30, just one alone. And now that the government mandates us to do at least 2 consecutive positive for us to go to do PCR. So we have to spend around $20 before we can even consult a doctor.
So I guess that segues us into our next conversation, which is, should the government be paying for our ART, or should our clients be paying for our ART test kits? Right? I believe that, Basil, this is something that you have been discussing quite actively, privately, although with your own friends, right? So what are the results that you get back? I mean, what are your findings?
The cost should be borne by the government if they're going to mandate it, because right now they're choosing not to mandate it, but they're encouraging it. So the question is, like, is the cost borne by us or the freelancer we're hiring, or is it part of their business cost, or is it part of our business cost? No, we cannot come to a consensus. Yeah, there's no one like answer to that. But for me, my personal opinion is that if it's required by law, then the government should cover it. Yeah.
Okay, what do you think, SK? Since your job also requires you to sometimes meet your students in person. I mean, if anything, I know that that's your preference as well, lah. Right? So how do you feel about this whole thing, about either paying for your own ART test kits or somebody else paying for it?
I definitely would think that somebody else has to pay for it. I bought I was lucky that I get a few generous people who just gave me like maybe say a set of 20, and plus along with the slow MOH reaction that suddenly pop out. So all of a sudden I pop out with like extra 15 for no reason, but because they were slow. But I still think that those are meant for me or my for my family members to use it when it's needed to. I do have feedback from some of the centers that I work with that they actually mentioned that the cost is actually quite substantial for them.
It's costly.
Yeah.
Can you imagine doing a large production of, let's say, 50 cast and crew members, which is the limit that IMDA mandates now? And can you imagine having to test every 2 weeks or every week
Yeah.
during a course of a 3-month production? Yeah. And budgets are not going up. Yeah, so if the cost is going to be borne by the production, right, then imagine where they're going to cut, where else they're going to have to cut. Yeah. And that's adding on to the fact that you can't do catering for, like, you can't do buffet style catering now.
Yeah.
Your makeup artists have to charge more now because every single talent has to use a different brush, different materials lah, basically. Then you have to buy the face shield for makeup artists to do the
whole different brush thing really put a lot of makeup artists, even one of my clients who was a makeup school, out of business.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
It's very, very bad.
Yeah. And the question is also asked now, if the government is going to say you need to do ART testing, right? Can some sectors who haven't worked for a long time go back to work? For example, live musicians. Yeah. So if live musicians are okay to say that, okay, I'll get myself tested every 2-3 days or every week so that I can go back to work, is the government going to allow live music again? Question. I also don't know. Yeah.
I share a very nice experience with you guys. You know, I shared with you that recently I had a government shoot, right, where they took our phones. So I think a few days before the shoot, they sent us an email saying that all vendors are required to take 2 ART test kits 24 hours before the shoot. So one in the morning, one at night, right? So we just just take that, since it's required, we just do it. And then we are supposed to take a photo with the papers or whatever to prove that it's taken on the date itself, right? So I don't buy papers, so I just went to Google and search for like time and date now, and then just took a photo with that lah. I mean, it's hard to fake that also. But one very nice thing that happened to us, which we didn't expect, was because we did 2, right? We went there for the shoot the next day. They replenished us with 2.
Oh, okay.
They let us bring home 2.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So it was a very nice and very unexpected thing that happened. But I don't know. I cannot say that it's happening everywhere else lah. But it's nice to know that maybe at least one government sector or department is doing that.
My boss is actually doing that for me, because I'm going back. The particular center that I'm doing, this center is the only one that is currently doing self-test kit. And she already gave, because I'm only there for the last 2 lessons, and basically after this, probably the only next lesson comes back in is December. So she was nice enough to just give me 2 beforehand, like telling me, okay, you just use this. So I'm not too sure about other governments doing so, but I reckon that this is also the protocol that some of the government sectors may be doing right now, knowing that to be direct, the thing doesn't come cheap, and most of them don't have enough to do that on their own. But I don't know whether will they give the employers one, because according to what my boss said, she was given 10 for free. Anything else will be charged if they need to request from the government.
And then what if ART test kits run out? Then what? Does the whole country stop?
It's the whole same mask situation like 1 year ago, right?
Yeah.
When the whole thing started blowing up, then Singapore all of a sudden was shortage of masks. I think on some level they will find a way to make sure that we have in the months to come lah. Just that it feels like we are reaching the stage that we might start to run out soon, because everyone is just like spamming it.
The thing is that it's not like we want to spam it. We have to. Yeah, exactly. If the government is going to be the one asking us to spam it, then please supply us more. It's not like the mask where in the beginning, like, everybody start getting panicking and not start wearing
Correct.
it.
It's like, if you want me to test, sure, give me the kit, I'll test myself. But if you expect me to set aside maybe $20 every week to buy the kit, a bit no way, man.
Even that was what I was telling the MOH personnel at the point of time when I was having a quarantine order. I was telling them I only have like 2 test kits left. If you want, and I have like 3 people in the household, including myself, who requires to take, according to back then during the home recovery policies, we have to take ART test kit every day for the next 10 days. And I upfront told them, if you we wanted to be the law-abiding citizens, and we want to do all these things, but you're not giving us anything.
I mean, not just to be law-abiding, like you give a shit about your health as well.
Yeah, at the same time, yeah. So and my family member who is tested positive, she needs to know her progress as well. At that point of time, we have nothing. So it's almost like, so I was telling them upfront, like, we want it, but we can't get it.
Yeah, I think it's scary because COVID is not. I mean, COVID, like a lot of other viral diseases, it's not like an open wound where you can check on the progress every day, right? You don't know whether you still have it or not, even though you have no symptoms, unless you do a check. And if you are even at the point that you are running low on the test kits and no help is being rendered to you, even though you have been crying for help desperately, it's a very panicky situation, especially considering the fact that you also stuck at home 24 hours a day, in your room 24 hours a day, except for the times when you go out to shower or shit or whatever kind of nonsense like that lah. Yeah.
Also, with someone that is immunocompromised, which is a bigger issue.
Which adds on to the emotional stress.
Of course. You know what makes it even worse? Like the people there, like for example, there's supposed to be this thing called the telemedicines or telemeds who are supposed to attend to her. They just chuck her out or just chuck her aside by saying that, oh, her name is not on the list, and then they just conveniently say, and this was, I will never forget what I was told, is that they just said if at any point in time, they just nonchalantly say that if there's any point of time she doesn't feel well, just call 995. Which is like, you're telling me, it's like we just need her. She didn't have that time, at that point in time there's no medication, there's only a couple of flu meds left, and during the peak of her situation, she lost her sense of smell, so everybody was like, oh my god, what's going on? You get what I'm trying to say? And then the next thing is, if she's really that serious, just call 995.
Wow.
Seriously?
Pass the hot potato, man.
Yeah, then it's like, and the only, if it's that serious, of course I'm gonna call 995. But the thing is, we also want to know what's going on.
You don't feel like you are taken care of.
Yeah.
Like you are being looked out for.
Yeah.
Actually, sorry for stealing your thing. If I can go a bit deeper about this. I mean, I know we said that it's going to be a bite episode. I will still try to keep it short. But I'm wondering if, Jerry, if you're able to share, if you are able to, like, not really, it's fine.
Yeah.
If you're able to share what exactly goes on in one of the facilities that you work at. Like, what are the things that you feel that you can share that the public doesn't really know about? But of course, we still try to be... I don't know what direction we should take because I don't want to get you in trouble as well. Maybe at the start we should have, like, give you a fake name or something.
No, it's fine. I mean, I've not signed any non-disclosure or whatever, so it's fine. So one thing that I would like to highlight to everyone is, like, it's not okay. It's just because we work at a COVID site doesn't mean that we are more prone. We are more prone to get COVID. Most of us that's basically there's a green zone and a red zone. So those in the green zone, we are still required to wear N95s to make sure that we don't have any cross contamination. So once we enter the red zone, we are properly, like, protected by PPEs and everything lah. So on top of that, we do have PCR testing every week. On top of that, we will do ART tests ourselves. So in terms of having COVID risk, I think we are quite covered by that. Like being tested almost on a 2-3 days basis, both ART and PCR. Yeah. So another thing is for our job there, we aren't exactly like babysitting the COVID patients. We are more of like helping them to cope through this phase. Not all dormitory workers are like comfortable with moving from their dormitories to the COVID site. Some of them are actually quite panicky because they aren't being informed of what is happening to them. Some of them actually packed everything, all of their valuables and belongings, and came over thinking that they're just being trashed here. Like, so that in terms of how the MOM and maybe not MOM, maybe their employers are handling this is quite poor, to be honest. Like, they are just being thrown here and there. And hearing from some of my colleagues from other facilities, right? Like, some of the employers don't even want to handle their own employees. They're like, why are you sending my employee back? Why is he not in the facility? Like, why was I being informed? Blah blah blah. Like, there wasn't much accountability on these foreign workers, which
so is it fair to say that the fact that you're working there, you not only have to upkeep the logistics of the place, of running the place, you might also have to deal with the emotional problems of the people there?
Definitely.
What's one of the more serious cases that you I guess the things that the stories that left an impression on you.
Okay, so there's this one that is it's not from my facility, it's from my colleague's facility. So there was this one patient, right? He was supposed to be discharged like 2 weeks ago, and they've totally forgotten about him. Like both the employers and both MOM has forgotten about him. So he was just left isolated in the facility for a month, which usually most of them get out in like 10 days or 14 days. So he was just left there for a month. There's no idea where to go or what to do. There's no clear instruction. Nobody knows whether we can take them. The employers can't take him back. MOH and MOA are too swarmed to notice this particular individual. So I think it's very heartbreaking to see someone from another country come over trying to make an honest living and end up being neglected by our government.
I have a slightly more controversial question now. I mean, obviously, it's very unfortunate. I mean, the three of us here are hearing this story for the first time, and it's really hard on the ears. I mean, you guys can't see, but the faces on me, Basil and SK are like basically just frowning right now, lah. Right? It's really very difficult to hear. But I do have one controversial question, slightly controversial. Are there any Singaporeans at the facilities that you manage or your other colleagues manage, and how are they treated as compared to these foreign workers?
Okay, so our facility don't house Singaporean citizens, but we do house PRs. There are BPRs. Like we do have a few PRs.
BPRs? Okay. Sorry. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah. They're pretty much being treated the same. Just that I would say the only perks is that they like how to say, in terms of language barrier wise, because most of the dormitory workers are either from Bangla, PRCs or etc. Right? So in terms of language barrier wise, their command of English is not that good, and there are times where it gets very bad, it gets very toxic, where both parties can't communicate, and some of them have to raise their voice and try when they can't understand us, which is quite. I would say it's quite heartbreaking that we as Singaporeans, I think we have quite a bit of we are a multiracial place. We should have people of like their race or that speaks their language to come and assist them instead of having a majority of like non Bangladesh speaking or non Tamil speaking or non Chinese speaking staffs handling them. Yeah, so that's one of the things I've seen in the COVID facility sites.
I see. I mean, I guess there's no point asking how you think that it can be improved, right? Because I guess the answer is
the answer was there already.
Yeah, the answer is there.
The answer is simple and complicated at the same time, right? I mean, it is what it is, and we thank you for sharing all this inside news with us. Albeit, I feel that nothing damning yet. But I don't think I want to go there today. Maybe off.
No, I don't think that's something that we can discuss.
Yeah, maybe off the record lah. But we are not going to put this online and put ourselves in jeopardy.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't really know which direction I should take the topic from here now. Do you know how to go on with this, Basil?
No, man.
Yeah, I feel a bit lost after.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, it puts things into perspective, right?
Yeah, it does.
Because while we have been allowed to go out or whatever, there's a whole group of foreign workers still in the dormitories that, they're simply not allowed to do anything. They're not even allowed to go to Little India on Sundays anymore.
From what I know, they are not even allowed to leave the dormitory.
They're not even allowed to leave the dormitories.
It's
almost like it being in the prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. Like that's just terrible.
I think terrible aside, I just don't know whether at this case now that things have been blown up, in the media, I genuinely think that the government side or the authorities need to step up. But are they thus far based on whatever that's happening right now? Are they doing
improving?
Anything? Yeah, are they improving?
Not that I can see. I mean, coming out like from the news, you can see like some of the workers mentioning that their meals are being infested by worms and shit. So it begs me the question now, like what is happening to are we underfunded or are we just not giving enough shit for the dormitory workers? Because I don't think any normal human beings are okay with dishing out food infested with worms.
Yeah, that
didn't happen in my facility, of course.
I don't even think that happens in prison.
Yeah, that don't even happen in army. And we complain about army food sucks.
Yeah. Like one question I want to ask you guys: are we paralyzed by COVID fear
I would say
as
yes.
a whole?
Yes. Okay.
I mean, looking at it this way, like, you turn on the TV and you see news footage or sports from almost anywhere else in the world now. They are starting to open up and bring people back into like events and stuff like that. But we are still. I mean, we were once hailed as the shining example for COVID crisis management.
Yeah.
But right now, it seems like we are lagging behind, and we are actually going backwards compared to last year.
Because the worst thing is the problem right now is we are vaccinated. So why are we going backwards? That's the biggest question that.
And they have been pushing the narrative that you have to get vaccinated, etc., because it will protect you. But
the actual fact is, people whom are vaccinated are still contracting a new variant of the COVID.
No,
virus.
it's fine. It's fine. In fact, my immediate family member who happened to be immune compromised, technically speaking, she really self-recovered. But of course, when she has gotten that, clearly when we don't know the bigger picture, I'm going to be panicked over this. Yeah, so gradually when she got after we have gotten our new ART test kits, and then when she started testing it, and then she realized that she's fine now, it became evidence that for my end, my worries were kind of overblown in a way. But at the same time, I'll turn around and ask, how many people are able to sit down there and go, okay, yeah. And in fact, at the point of time when I was in that position, I think I was panicking even more when I heard about all the things such as she lost her sense of smell. That kind of mindset that she has gotten the full-blown symptom whatsoever. So again, if we want to, the one thing that I would say the government should be doing is, if you want us not to be paralyzed by COVID. COVID fear, right? Then at the very least, make it clear what exactly it is. Like, you don't tell us, no one hand you tell us, don't worry, you're fine. The numbers, don't even look at it. We're still having the numbers there. We shouldn't, some people are still worried about the red spot. So because since London is doing it, and then so we also should do it. I'm sorry to say that, but to me, it's like, when I look at it, I go, you are making things worse.
Yeah, I think the messaging, the mixed messaging is what's frustrating me, because they've been pushing the vaccination program and telling people to get vaccinated, right? But at the same time, they are tightening things a lot more, which actually gives the anti-vaxxers a lot more ammunition to use against whatever that they do now.
And you know what?
Because the more they erode the trust, right?
Yeah.
The more the anti-vaxxers will think they are right.
Yeah. And you know what's the biggest problem
And
right
that's
now?
that's gonna divide society even further.
Yeah, and you know what's the biggest problem right now? But technically speaking, whatever they're doing is, I don't see anything that we can do to improve the situation.
I don't see an end game, to be honest.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't see what they are doing is wrong in a way, but I just don't know why they are just holding back. And it make me feel like, can we just,
It's like they're trying to help, but they're not like letting us.
When they help, they're not helping out.
Yeah, they're not letting us know what can we do about it.
Yeah. And then you want us to be responsible, then tell us what we need to do.
Yeah. First of all, I'm not the one that opened up the borders.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I didn't bring the Delta variant in.
Let's
not
go down that route.
I think you should cut it out.
We cannot go down that route now because we are not financially capable to hire.
Can't get a pro bonus.
Yeah, but I don't think I don't feel like this is the I don't feel like this is what it means to move towards being endemic. I think if they said, if they want to say that like it's going to shit now, they should just come out and say it's going to shit. Yeah.
So your statement is you feel that they are not being transparent with the people.
Not being transparent. I feel like they're in that I'm trying to please all parties mode.
Yeah.
Which is actually what they do with our foreign relations anyway.
And in fact, to be honest, all they need to do is just be firm about what their decisions are.
True.
And technically speaking, when they're looking at the whole situation, is I don't see any problem right now. But why are they taking start? I mean, again, why are they flip flopping when all they need to do is just do a simple thing, stand firm on whatever decision they're making?
Yeah. Yeah, like don't tell me endemic and then you close the you do something different.
Yeah.
Like I just want to see a consistent mandate.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I guess perhaps that's it for
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually think this is a good closing point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We probably shouldn't go too deep into this until we know more for sure. I feel that we intended this episode to be a bite-sized one.
it's 20 minutes.
It's 36 minutes now.
Wow.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I'll cut some parts out lah.
Yeah.
Just to keep
Better
ourselves, just
Yeah.
to keep our asses safe.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, but I feel that we didn't expect this episode to go this deep this fast. That's what she said. Anyway,
That's what she oh my god.
yeah. So
Whoa.
yeah. So it wasn't meant to go this far, right?
Yeah.
But yet I'm very glad that we have Jerry here to share some insights with us, and some problems that needs to be addressed. In a non-slandering way, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we've also heard from SK his first-hand experience of experiencing a QO order. Yeah, and most of our thoughts on things like the ART kits and stuff like that. So yeah, this is just our very humble opinions, thoughts, and views. So please don't sue us. Dear, please don't sue us. Okay, Papa.
Akong.
Okay, yeah, Akong, please don't
Why
sue us.
suddenly okay. Oh yeah, Akong now.
Yeah. Okay. So so with this, we're gonna end off this bite episode. If you enjoy our content, please listen to our other podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. We also have other visual mediums. We also have other visual medias on YouTube. We do not have a social media page right now, but if you wanna keep in contact with us or suggest anything for us to either react to or talk about, do leave it in the comment section. We get very excited when we see things like that. So yeah, actually this is Prod.cast signing out.
Bye.
Thank you again, Jerry, for coming.
Bye.
Thanks guys for having me. Bye.
Thanks.